Okay. I'm back. We're going to try this again. I want to start back here. I want to try and keep each part in one consistent stream. So if it cuts out, then I'm going to have to go through it again. But I will keep a closer eye on my stream when I look up to make sure it doesn't freeze again. This happened when I was streaming Halo before, so starting to have technical difficulties. This sucks. Oh well. I don't have a mind with this. I love Ace Attorney. Anywho. November 22nd, 1:14 p.m., Supreme Court of Judicator, Courtroom 2. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha! A judicial assistant, and a woman no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I am fully aware. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. The trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not tolerate a moment more. But, Your Excellency, I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medicinal faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of Curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? I've never heard that word before. Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful. Thank you. Giselle's report has been entered into the court record. Goodbye then, and good luck. You have long enough, counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but let's take a look at this. The report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett had been researching during her time at UMA University. A poison made from bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry: the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to the inability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. Alright, due to its ability to render the human body paralytic. Alright. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest is caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Alright, that's exactly what we need. The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it is not so very long until tea time. I have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question, however, I must ask that you treat it as an order. I said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? Miss Giselle Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Watson at Yume University, doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, counsel? A toxin known as Curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death. What? What complete and utter nonsense? Curare, you say? I've never heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of Curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist. Correct. Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxin, they never identify Curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order, order, order! Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report, authored by the visiting research student from England, Curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lance their arrows. It seems it's reasonable, well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report says that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the time of the century by explorers. It's claimed that animals shot by arrows laced with Curare suffer instant death. Does that about sum it up, Miss Brett? Trumpery? These aspirations are utter trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been quite squirming and writhing in pain, and other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact the victim did not show any visible signs of distress is evidence that Curare was used. Explain yourself, counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there'd be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible! Obviously, if a man loses all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor, but with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. If that's just paralysis, I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe, it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all while the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous! To the observer, it would look like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly Curare poison. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison? This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison from which there's no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. Ahem, if I may. All these facts, you think you're so clever, but you must be taught... It is you who must be taught. Of course. Dear lady. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree? Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great Empire of Japan is breaking the rules. What's so funny? Oh, excuse me. Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry? To an English woman such as myself, this whole affair is a facile comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. Wait! What are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no Curare. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Urgh. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've gone more than enough of my time for furtherance of friendships between our country. Yes, dear lady, we are most grateful with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for an interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle. Doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have kneeled over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water... The culprit did put Curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious? Fool, are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right. Which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How, exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support your assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposed poison, water, unscathed? The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report. That's not a valid explanation. No? After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone. Honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Let's see. It would be under special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this Curare poison. And it left me curious about something. Oh, counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using the poison for years and years. To lace the heads of their arrows, they'd shoot it at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean they would be traces of poison left in the prey that the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, counsel! No, that would be madness! But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Curare enters the body through an open wound, it has a terrifying poisonous effect. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research, you knew Curare's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little rapscallion! Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer? Oh, all of this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. A schoolboyish flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce Curare is safe to ingest, it seems likely its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric siccus. Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers. What are they? So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, wouldn't he? That's right. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no. Order! Order in the court! Order! The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest... Yes, this Curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey. I don't think so, Miss Giselle Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well there's no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why. Even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison, you are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, you must provide compelling evidence. And as we all know, this poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the Curare? His medical report. As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of Curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound, so for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Ah! Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are all so puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No! I mean, it could just slip. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No! What is it? What just happened? It's the Englishwoman. She just smashed that bottle. And in the Supreme Court, what a terrible blunder. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect as much of that water from the broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here were a gift from the British Empire. I assure you it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump and bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we, if there was really poison in the bottle or not. You. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course, of course. You're referring to the photographic print, I presume, dear lady. That's right, and really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting up with his back to me. So of course the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy. No, you killed the victim that day using Carrere, and then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Watson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest, delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now... Is she really going to get away with this? The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Ryunosuke, yes, we've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there's any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was the foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now, try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt, every color. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory in this scene, same scene in my head, could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then, let's wipe that smug smile off that English woman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all of this. It's here somewhere, the clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been. Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Oh, yes? What is it? He's still miles away, probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime, like for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day. Wait a minute, where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw this scene shown in the photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base plate that the steak was served on was a splattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relevant position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim, If I'm supposed to have shot Mr. Wilson from the chest to the front, there's no way blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter, which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite to the professor as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon. And this is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing? This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean... Yes, I took the plate, in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. I did it all in the name of justice. Then can we find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate? We must examine it, now! Inspector, the court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. Here's what you ordered. The steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector. The blood, man. Show the court. Of course. Examine the plate to your leisure. No blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's impossible! I know I saw it. I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Ugh. I couldn't agree more in the case of this disgrace to the Empire. I believe we may finally reach a conclusion in this trial. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at court proceedings is painful to watch. I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. Ha! This sorry-looking steak reveals facts all too clearly. Of the sorry-looking accused witnesses to examine it again, be my guest. Alright, the meal Miss Brett ordered for lunch. It was removed from the victim's table after the incident. Was the plate I saw, or thought I saw, just a figment of my imagination? This is it now. I've lost. Ryunosuke, it's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what. Believe in myself. Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, let's do it. What on earth? Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin, and the hallmark is from the Hoi era, I believe. No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what is it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoi Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time today there's been talk of a Hoi Koban. I've heard of pearls before, swine, but I've never heard of bullion in bullion. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick cut of meat. And it's from the Hoi era, too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in juices as well. Look. Well, are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure, my heart's going to be racing if I lift up the meat and peel underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. A Koban coin underneath the steak. There's only one logical explanation. I presume any further examination of evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? There's another clue. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beefsteak. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court what it is you are looting. Where precisely is on this plate of beefsteak is this new clue to be found? Okay, yeah. I guess if you didn't have I guess if you didn't examine it before, you would examine it now. That's fair. Damn, my throat. All this talking. Good gracious, that's a Koban? What on earth? A Hoi Arrow one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat? What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't even know what this is, but I want no part of it. I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat. That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in the moment of distraction. Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen. A rare Hoi Koban just happened to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel. A rare Hoi Koban just happened to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now. By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant, even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what's it doing under that steak. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. The owner of this Koban that was found underneath the beefsteak is... Kyoryo Korakuta. Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and the owner of Rasute, Kyoryo Korakuta-san. Kori, as in Mr. Cucumber something. Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Koban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment the gun was fired. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, but what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Hoei Arakobon, my prized coin. That this Hoei Arakobon... Do you mean to tell me... No, please. Why would Kurakuda-san's Koban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense. Which is why I'm asking to bring Kurakuda-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here, without a moment's delay. Ooh boy. I can't believe we've come back around to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Koban, we'll find out it's the key element in this case. What's all this about? Why have I been called up again? Do you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop owner's existence. Be that as it may, Kurakuda-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves, have you ever seen... Ah! Yes! That's it! That's the one, the very exact one that it is! The resplendent, superindiferous Hoei treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. It can't be. As I thought. Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where did my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices. Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoei treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing? Such an unconceivable... What is that? Unconceivable... Unconceivable... What is such an inconceivable thing? I don't even know if I said that right. Excuse me, could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier on the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah, yes, that's right, the secret undercover operation. La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case on the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you sent undercover, is it? Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Kurakuda-san's Koban is all too clear. What? What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel who stole Kurita-san's koban and hid it under the stake? Obviously, it can only be you, Sergeant Iyasanosa. What? How dare you? You monster! Monster? I stole that koban, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido. Ido is the mastermind behind all this. You would push the blame for your crimes on your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Noza. Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Iyasanosa, preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Okay, that just happened. Do any of you know the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recent ended conflicts remains in place, and I've heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I go there to do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. Sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife or a fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man and his koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak. I was halfway through devouring when that happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Ido, too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. Just got silent in here. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with your absurd prattling in your own time. Well, Miss Brett? Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewomen please be excused, Your Excellency. Indeed. The theft of the koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Well, oof. As for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. Ryunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out exactly what, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there's a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking, make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over. Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction? What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. I'm going to need to see evidence, Counsel. If Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory, where's the evidence to prove it? The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed, yes. Go on. More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about this steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been bitten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a good look at this steak in particular, the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there's clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Oh. Ah! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all. But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry. Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course, this will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Just leave... I've heard enough, you irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course. Dear lady. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes. Now at last, it all comes together. The mysterious teeth marks in the steak that had been allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steaks are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been... what? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist. This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you're saying there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it. I don't, but someone who does have it, someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit that piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about this whole affair? The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoyed chomping my way through a good steak, as well as admitting to stealing Kurakuda-san's coin. He told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Tension! Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I am not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal. But that makes no sense. The plate that was taken from the victim's table, yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly, surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over. You did switch the plates? Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hit the coin underneath it. But then, when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. It'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. I was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you, so yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable! However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform that is all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant. So, if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over, it means that he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. To preserve the evidence, you had taken both. Ah! Oh, she's losing it now. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot. What could that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat. It can't have the slightest bearing on this case. No, you're wiggling. You're not wiggling your way out of this time, lady. I beg your pardon. Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak pan promises to prove so much of a problem for you. No. You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see that plate was confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that on the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear splattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now that we have the evidence to prove it, the plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. Here's the other steak and its plate. Please, feel free to examine it. The blood stain. It's clearly visible. Look! Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on this side of the plate shows that the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could have possibly shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right, Miss Giselle Brett. It's you! Outdone by a Japanese. Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No. No. No! Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life using Curer. As you surmise, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water, because Curer is unheard of here in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only need to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water, and it would all be over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over and greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I'd happened to know the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of Curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right. There were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee, got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Placed where you were sure I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I had intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun, even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor in his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Your Excellency. Yes. I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement. This can't be! Taketsuchi Ouchi does not lose! Not to the likes of this rookie student! You'd better start getting used to tough opposition. Ryanosuke Naruhodo. Yes? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You've become conceited with age, Counsel, but the old have to stay aside to make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still, the Ouchi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan, well, will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. Thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern mythology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits. But what will it look like? I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. Yes. After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can, absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to, and do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo... yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This court is now adjourned. Oh boy. We're almost done. My throat needs a break. November 22nd, 2:46 p.m., Supreme Court of Judicator, Defendants Antechamber 5. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Don't forget. Good afternoon. All of your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations on both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much! If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah, yes, of course. Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Speaking of Mikotoba... Ah, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably, that's when you met Dr. Wilson. Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country that leads the world in science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah, yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit, after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future for Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country. I'm certain of that. What? But why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga? It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... But wait, what's this all about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case, somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we've signed a friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan? I'm afraid that's for the young student. Today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it! The British Government Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is the time of great turmoil. This new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt that women will receive the judgment that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But, Professor... You're right. There's no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now. To La Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor? Of course. La Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh yes, thank you. So Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. Kazuma. Yes, Ryunosuke? I just wanted to say thanks again. That's all. You really saved my skin today. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I'll bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during the trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me. All that tense verbal combat, I never want to go through that ever again. I did what you told me to do, that's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon is that a lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice whether to believe in you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom you can really be backed into a corner, but being able to remain faithful to what you chose to believe in, even then, well, that's not something anyone can do. Not that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. It sounds serious. What is... Ah, you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Ah, yes, that too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma. Professor Mikotoba. Susato-san, who acted as my assistant. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. We finished episode 1. And now we have unlocked episode 2, The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. Now, I'm probably going to do this episode tomorrow because my throat can't handle anymore right now. So that's just going to be it for this. So for those of you watching on Twitch, check out my YouTube. Those of you on YouTube, check out my Twitch. If you like what I do, be sure to follow me over on Twitch. It helps me out. And if you check out my YouTube channel and you like what I do, you could subscribe, ring the bell, get notified on my uploads. You'll be a part of the Fox Army. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Till then, see you then. God, my voice. It hurts. It hurts. I don't talk that much.